the first spacewalk.
The program is made possible by a grant from Pan American Life Insurance Company. It's Varsity Quiz Bowl, and today, Lorraine Schwalek, Miguel Aleman, Ketty Neal, and Julio Medina from South Terrebonne High will meet in a battle of quick recall. Tony Toops, Peter Muller, Joseph Fennerty, and John Equier from Jesuit High School. The alternate from South Terrebonne is Dwayne Echte, and the coach, Louise Hebert. And the alternate from Jesuit is David Howell, and the coach, Sal Anselmo. And now, here's our moderator, Mel Levitt.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Welcome once again to the Varsity Quiz Bowl. This is our third round of play, and of course the winner advances automatically into the quarterfinals when it boils down to 8 more as we proceed toward that championship round. Before we start, let me introduce, first off, our judge, Dr. Ann Akers. Our scorer is Phyllis Hartley, Associate Director of Records at the University of New Orleans. Our recognizer, Cliff Beal, communications student at Loyola and intern here with WYES. Let's give them a round of applause, too, huh? Good. All right, it's Jesuit and South Terrebonne High School competing today. Both have won 2 games without a defeat to advance to this point. And this is our first face-off. We're leading into an audio lagniappe of 20 points, and this is the face-off. He died a week ago. His death truly brought an end to an era. He was the last of the Army's
South Terrebonne,
five-star...
Schwalek.
Bradley.
That's correct. Omar Bradley for 10 points. All right, South Terrebonne's first on the board, and you'll now have an opportunity at a lagniappe, an audio question, or questions, I should say, based on what you're about to hear. I'd like you to listen now to the following passage from an Academy Award winning motion picture. Okay, listen.
Now, I looked at you tonight and you weren't there. Barney snapped. And I'm gonna howl it out. And I'm not gonna give a damn what I do, and I'm gonna make the biggest goddamn explosion you've ever heard.
You try it and I'll beat you at your own game.
Is that it? All right, now, I think that actress's voice is probably pretty well known to you. At any rate, here are the questions for 5 each. From what motion picture is this passage?
Stars Born.
No, it's from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Okay, with that to go on, name the former husband and wife who starred in the motion picture.
Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor.
Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor.
That's correct for 10 points, and for 5 more, who wrote Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Albee.
That's correct. And for an extra 5 points, besides Liz Taylor, who won the Best Actress for this film, name the actress who won the Best Supporting Actress for her role as the wife of a young college professor.
Sandy Dennis.
That is correct, and you got 1, 2, 3. I said 10 points for the one. It was only 5 for Burton and Taylor. 15 points in all. South Terrebonne. Very good. Didn't mean to confuse you there, but the combined answer on Burton and Taylor was worth only 5, just to clarify it. We have another face-off team. We're going for a lagniappe at 20. In the 4th century B.C., this man wrote, when there is an income tax, the just man will pay more and the unjust less on the same amount of income, leaving the just always a loser.
Jesuit Muller.
Plato.
It was Plato for 10 points. Jesuits now on the board. And here's your lagniappe for 20 points. Ranked as one of history's greatest fighters, he died last Sunday at age 66 for 5 points apiece. Tell me his name, and then tell me what he was called because of his punch and his string of knockout victories, the most popular of all the nicknames.
Joe Louis. Joe Louis. Joe Louis, and his nickname was the Brown Bomb.
That's correct for 10, and now for 5 more points apiece, tell me in what year Joe Louis won the heavyweight title and who he knocked out for that title. The year and the victim.
1936.
Who did he knock out? It was James J. Braddock that whom he defeated. 1937 actually was the year. I'm sorry, it's off by 1. You have 10 points, Jesuit high. Jesuit trailing now, 25 to 20 to South Terrebonne. Here's another face-off team. We're going for a lagniappe of 30. Established before and during the American Revolution. This
South Terrebonne, Allemande.
Minutemen.
That's right, Minutemen it is. Group of colonists who played an important role in the battles of Lexington and Concord. We have a lanyap of 30. Water covers much of the surface of the earth. For 10 points each, answer these questions about normal sea waters. First, within 2 hours, the number of hours and minutes required for the ocean tides to flow and ebb in that entire cycle.
24.
We'll accept that. It's actually 24 hours, 51 minutes, but we had a 2-hour leeway on each side. For 10 more points, within 1%, the average percent of salt content of normal seawater.
3%.
Good enough. 3.5 is precise. And finally, for 10 more points, the greatest depth of the ocean that has been measured to the nearest mile. To the nearest mile.
7.
Correct. You've got 30 points. South Terrebonne. We have another face-off team. We're going for a lanyap at 20. Whalers called him the species to hunt because he was so slow, floated when dead, and yielded plentiful oil and bone. For 10 points, what is this species of whale?
South Terrebonne, Almond.
Sperm whale.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. We repeat for Jesuit. Whalers called him the species to hunt because he was slow, floated when dead, and yielded plentiful oil and bone. For 10 points, what is this species of whale called? Specifically.
Jesuit, penalty.
Blue whale.
No, they actually call it the right whale, and for obvious reasons it got that title. We have another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 20. The most transatlantic of current British film directors has done some effective work. For example, Deliverance and Point Blank.
South Terrebonne, Schwallock.
Borman.
Correct, it is. John Borman for 10 points. You have a lanyap of 20 points coming up. Two of America's greatest humorists and social critics were contemporaries, their lives spanning the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The first, who said Wagner's music is better than it sounds, generally considered the greatest humorist in American literature, wrote for both children and adults. His best early work was the celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County. Second great American humorist said, the income tax has made more liars out of the American people than golf. He began his career as a cowboy. He rose to world fame as an author, lecturer, and star of vaudeville, radio, and motion pictures. Now then, for 10 points apiece, identify them.
Mark Twain and Will Rogers.
You've got it for 20 points. We have another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 20. DeWitt Wallace, co-founder of the world's most widely read magazine, died at the
South
age of...
Terrebonne, Almond.
TV Guide.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. We'll repeat for Jesuit. Must bring in now, no consultation. DeWitt Wallace, co-founder of the world's most widely read magazine, died at age 91 on March 30th. For 10 points, name the magazine.
Jesuit, Toops.
Reader's Digest.
That's correct. Reader's Digest for 10 points. Jesuit, here's a 20-point lanyap. In Greek mythology, Achilles' mother is reputed to have dipped him into the river Styx when he was an infant. You can earn 5 points apiece for correctly answering the following questions on long rivers. First, name the longest river in South America.
The Amazon.
Correct. Name the longest river in the world.
Nile.
Correct. The river in China that runs for 3,720 miles and empties into the East China Sea.
Yangtze.
Correct. And finally, the longest river in Canada.
Yukon.
No, it's the Mackenzie. However, you pick up 3 of the 4. 15 points for Jesuit. We have another? Well, we won't have it. That buzzer, of course, means that we're going to move now into a rapid-fire round. In rapid fire, quite briefly, I ask the questions as quickly as they're answered. If you answer correctly, of course, it's 10 points. If it's an incorrect answer, it's a -5. There are no referrals. Now, there's only one answer per question, and we'll continue apace until the 2-minute rapid-fire round countdown is up. So, with that in mind, this week's rapid-fire round is based on general knowledge of people, places, and things. The answers are in alphabetical order. Remember this, alphabetical order. That is, the first begins with the letter A, first answer, second with the letter B, third with the letter C, and so on, up the scale. And if we have time, we'll come back after Z to A again. Ready? Here we go. The name of the capital of the Ivory Coast.
South Terrebonne, Almond.
Agra.
No, it's Abidjan. The British poet who wrote She Walks in Beauty.
Jesuit, Muller.
Byron.
Correct. The glass and iron conservatory-like structure built by Joseph
Jesuit,
Paxton.
Toops.
Crystal Palace.
It was. London Exhibition. In finance, The return paid to the stockholders of the
Jesuit,
corporation.
equia.
Dividend.
They're called dividends. The national park in the south part of Florida.
South Terrebonne, Allemande.
Everglades.
That's right. Writing paper, 13 by 16 inches.
Jesuit, Muller.
Fool's Cap. Fool's Cap. Novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald.
South Terrebonne, Schwalleck.
Great Gatsby.
Correct. Nickname of Sir Henry Percy of Shakespeare's Henry
Jesuit,
IV.
Muller.
Henry,
It's Hotspur. Hotspur. Northwestern state with capital at Boise.
South Terrebonne, Allemande.
Iowa.
No,
Idaho.
it's Idaho. Famous Irish novelist and poet, author of
Jesuit,
Ulysses.
Muller.
Joyce.
Correct. Midwestern state where Dorothy lived.
Jesuit, equia.
Kansas.
Correct. Bravest and most celebrated of the Knights of the Round Table.
Jesuit at Fennerton.
Lancelot.
That's right. Strait between the South American mainland and Tierra del Fuego.
South Terrebonne, Schwalleck.
Magellan.
Correct. In Greek mythology, Queen of Thebes turned to stone while weeping for her slain
Jesuit,
children.
Muller.
Niobe.
That's right. Seaport in southern Honshu, Japan.
Jesuit, Muller.
Osaka.
That's right. Where Dr. Doolittle lived.
Jesuit, Muller.
In
Puddleby, province of eastern Canada.
South Terrebonne, Allemande.
Quebec.
That's correct. One of the 13 original states of the United
South
States.
Terrebonne, Allemande.
Rhode Island.
That's right. In geometry, two angles that together form 180
South
degrees.
Terrebonne, Allemande.
Supplementary.
That's right. Capital of Florida is.
Jesuit, Muller.
Tallahassee.
That's right. Seeming to be present everywhere.
South Terrebonne, Allemande.
Ubiquitous.
That's right. Navigator and explorer who gave his first name to
South
this.
Terrebonne, Allemande.
Vespucci.
No, it's Vespucius. All right. Langell wrote a blank in time.
Jesuit, Muller.
A wrinkle.
That's right. Trademark name of a copying process.
Jesuit, Fennerty.
Xerox is correct, and that's the end of the first half. What a game. It's tied 140. It's tied at 140, ladies and gentlemen. One of the best matches, obviously, we've had all season between two great teams. We're going to meet them personally in just a minute and find out what they like to do in their spare time. That is, if they have any. Stay tuned.
My mother would never have needed evidence to say that people need people.
And there is no way that we cannot have a survival relationship with the people who were our parents or the people who brought us up.
Do you get what you need from your family? Hello, I'm Sid Charisse, and I hope you'll join me to find out what a healthy family can mean to you. Next time on Here's to Your Health.
See it Sunday evening at 6 here on Channel 12.
We'll continue playing the second half of this very exciting game in just a moment. Right now, we're going to talk to the individuals who play on these two teams. Both, I think, have participated in, what, 2 games now, isn't it? Yeah. And we want to ask them about their pastimes. What do you like to do when you have time, Lorraine?
Go to the movies.
Go to the movies, just like that.
Yeah, that's my hobby. I eat, sleep, and drink movies. I'm a big movie fan.
You are?
Yeah.
You're a filmophile? I
I guess that's what you'd call it. I just know I like them.
Just guess that's what I would call them, not her. You just like them. Okay, Miguel, how about you?
Well, I enjoy movies too, but not half as much as Lorraine does.
I don't think anybody does.
I enjoy, I'm in drama and speech, and we go to contests all the time. That takes a lot of time to practicing. And music, I play several musical instruments. And all of us are like in GT, which is at school, and when we have any free time at all, that's where we go to the resource room.
Sure.
And before we go on, I have this little gift for you, Mel. It's a gator hat. It's for when you go out. It's for when you go out into the hot sun. You'll have something so you don't catch a stroke.
How do I explain this to my friends at Jesuit? Huh? I think we'll put this on the side for the time being, but I thank you very much. That's very kind of you, Miguel. And we love having your school on. Ketty, how about you?
I'm in speech and drama also, and we go to various events and everything. We just went to state lately. I like to swim. I like to sleep when I have time. I play the guitar, and I like to read, and I like to write when I have time. I like to speak French.
Speak French too, huh?
Yeah,
Ketty?
with a friend of mine
Thank you. How
named
about you, Julio? What are your preferences?
I draw and I paint a lot. I like to listen to music and look at art and things. So I also like movies, but maybe half as much as Lauren.
They make it sound like they have nothing but leisure, which is a lie. How about it, South Terrebonne? Jesuit High School back. They were champions last year, and of course Pete Muller, I might mention, is in his third year of appearing on this show, which is quite a distinction. Tony, is this your first time on?
This is my second.
Your second, that's right. Okay. Tony Toops, what do you like to do in your spare time?
I'm editor of the annual. It keeps me pretty busy, and I'm also an editor on the paper, and I'm in the National Honor Society and the Junior Classical League.
Very good. How about you, Peter?
Well, I'm also in the National Honor Society and the Junior Classical League, and I participate in Math League, and I enjoy music, play the piano.
That keeps you busy, I'm sure. Joseph?
My main interest is the annual and my work. It's most of what I do.
I'll tell you, I've worked on an annual, and that's enough to take care of everything for a year. How about you, John?
Most of my time I spend involving myself with sports.
Like Al Equier?
Well, I'm not into football too much, but my main sport is basketball and baseball.
I mentioned Al because all of us remember him so fondly as a great, great athlete. Jesuit, thank you very much, Jesuit High. Our defending champions of Varsity Quiz Bowl. Here at halftime, we're up against a very, very tough South Terrebonne High School team. How tough? Well, the score stands South Terrebonne 155, Jesuit 140, just 15 points between them. All right, we're ready to go now in the second half. We're leading up now to a lanyap at 20 points, and this will be a visual face-off. I'd like you to look at the monitors in front of you, and you will see a spectacular volcano that was born out of a Mexican cornfield in 1943.
South Terrebonne, Allemande.
Paracutin?
That's correct, it is. Our Paracutin. One way or another, you picked up 10 points. It actually came out of a cornfield and rose to a height of 1,350 feet. What a surprise for the neighbors. All right, a lanyap at 20 points calls for two answers. Sports writer Pete Axthelm has nominated his baseball owners of the year. One of them has retired the trophy for shameless media manipulation by a headline-grabbing pseudo feud with Reggie Jackson, followed by banishment of an allegedly gutless young pitcher. The other, owner of those lovable world champions from Philadelphia, has played out a simpler drama by announcing that he was putting the club up for sale. Astounding, a world championship team up for sale. Now, for 10 points apiece, can you name these two baseball team owners?
One's Martin. First one's Martin, and the second, I think.
One's Martin.
All right.
And we don't know the other.
No, I'm afraid you're confusing Billy Martin with George Steinbrenner, his former owner, who fired Billy, by the way. George Steinbrenner was the New York Yankee owner who has the feud going with Jackson. Ruly Carpenter is the Philadelphia owner who wants to sell his championship team. All right, another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 30. For a quick 10 points, what is an epiphytic plant? Epiphytic plant.
Jesuit Muller.
It's a plant that lives off of another plant.
You're right, it is. A plant that grows in another plant like Spanish moss. Huh? Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The judge has a question here. We've got to solve this right quickly.
Yeah, he said lives off
The interpretation of lives off of you don't feel is...
off of.
Well, I think we're going to have to dump it on them.
That's right. I think we'll just toss it.
The judge is saying this, and I don't want to hold up the game any longer. We'll have to dump this now because we've already made an issue of it. It is not exactly living off of, it's growing on another plant. It is not a parasite, and that is her point. My error. All right, here we go. Another face-off. The Golden Age came to an end, according to the early Greeks, when this girl opened a box containing the evils of...
Pandora.
Pandora is correct for 10 points. It's Pandora's box. And here's a lanyap of 30 points. They are the largest creatures on Earth and have always held a fascination for mankind. For 10 points apiece, identify the following whales. First, the breed of whale, which is the largest creature that ever existed, bigger even than dinosaurs.
Blue whale.
Correct for 10. For 10 more, the breed to which Moby Dick belonged, prized for its rich oils.
Sperm whale.
That is correct for 10. And finally, the small whales, which are the subjects of many legends and were the subject of a motion picture starring George C. Scott.
Dolphins.
You've got all three. 30 points, and you've gone ahead. Jesuit is now back in front, 180 to 165 in this extremely close game. We have a face-off leading to a lanyap at 20. Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota are separated by the Mississippi River. For 10 points, what river separates Henderson, Kentucky and Evansville, Indiana?
Jesuit Muller.
The Ohio.
That's right, it is. The Ohio River. We have another lanyap of 20 points. I can think of 8 chemical elements whose symbols start with the letter A. For 5 points apiece, name 4. Any 4.
Okay.
Starting with the letter A.
Aluminum.
All right.
Argon. Astantine.
argon, and arsenic.
That's it. You've got 20 points. Here's another face-off. We're going for a lanyap of 30. One of the biggest off-Broadway hits of the season, Marry Me a Little, is a delightful little musical made up of songs most theater goers did not know existed, written by the composer who wrote Sweeney Todd.
Jesuit Muller.
Sondheim.
Correct, Stephen Sondheim. And here's a lanyap of 30. Like many other states in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia is a new state, but an old society. It occupies most of the Arabian Peninsula, but not all of it. For 10 points apiece, up to a maximum of 30 points, name any, let's see, 3 of the 8 nations that border on Saudi Arabia. It is 3. Any 3 for 10 points apiece. Again, there are 8 in all.
Oman, Aden, and Kuwait.
Oman, Aden, and Kuwait. Oman and Kuwait are correct, but not Aden. Yemen, Qatar, Iraq, Muscat, the Trucial States, and Jordan are the others. We've got 20 points. All right, we go on now to another face-off. We're leading up to a lanyap at 20 points. 4 centuries ago, Edmund Spenser captivated Elizabethan England with his rich poetic tapestry of knights and knaves, sirens and
Jesuit
sorcerers,
Muller.
demons
Fairy
and
Queen.
dragons. The Fairy Queen is correct. That's 10, and here's a 20-pointer for a lanyap. You can give me the 2 answers correctly. A population profile is actually 2 histograms. Histograms. For 10 points each. What does each of these histograms show in a breakdown of a population profile?
Racial age, time,
Your 2 basics. We'll ask for an answer, please.
okay, age and place.
No, I'm afraid that's not what we're driving at. It's male or female, men or women are the 2 basic histograms. Another face-off. We're going for a lanyap of 30. For a quick 10, what renowned photographer put together the celebrated family of
South
man?
Terrebonne, Elmont.
Eastman.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. We'll repeat for Jesuit. For a quick 10, what renowned photographer put together the celebrated Family of Man show that toured the United States? Anyone?
Jesuit Muller.
Bresson.
No, this was Edward Steichen. We have another face-off. The harpy eagle, an endangered species, has a wingspan of 7 feet, weighs as much as 20 pounds, excuse me, and can fly 50 miles per hour. For 10 points, where is its natural habitat?
Jesuit Muller.
Mexico.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. South
South
Terrebonne,
Terrebonne, Elmont.
Western United States.
No, it actually is indigenous to the South American rainforests, basically. We have another face-off. For 10 points, according to most recent cost of living indices, which of the following cities would be the most expensive in which to live? Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco, Miami, or Washington, D.C.?
Jesuit Muller.
Detroit.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. South Terrebonne.
South Terrebonne, Elmont.
Miami.
No, Washington, the nation's capital. The elements with atomic numbers 57 through 71 inclusive are
Jesuit
metals
Muller.
known as...
Rare earths.
That's right. Sometimes called rare earths. Called lanthanides, but more popularly, rare earths. Here's a lanyap of 30 points. The Balkan states were the source of a large controversy during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And in fact, Balkan wars occurred in 1912-13. For 5 points each, name the 6 countries that were considered to make up the Balkan states in 1913. There were 6 countries generally accepted as part of the Balkan states prior to World War I.
Okay, the 6 are Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Yugoslavia, Greece, and Albania.
You have 5. Yugoslavia was not one, actually. It hadn't been actually formed. Montenegro was the other. The other 5 were correct. You have 25 points. Here's another face-off. We're going for a lanyap of 20. Capital of Switzerland is Bern.
South Terrebonne, Elmont.
Zurich.
That's right. I'm going to ask you the largest city, and you jumped the buzzer correctly. Zurich, the largest city, lanyap of 20 points. He was the last king of Troy who reigned during the Trojan War. For 5 points, can you name him? All right.
Menelaus.
No, this was Priam. For 5 points apiece, name his 2 sons, and then for a final 5, tell me who killed him.
Paris and Agamemnon was his sons, and Achilles killed him.
Paris and Hector were the sons. Pyrrhus was his slayer. However, you picked up 5 more points. South Terrebonne. We move along now to a face-off leading up to a lanyap of 30 points. In 1906, a novel was published which exposed the excesses and abuses of the meatpacking industry? For 10
Jesuit
points.
Muller.
Lewis.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. South Terrebonne. In 1906, a novel was published which exposed the excesses and abuses found in the meatpacking industry. For 10 points, name this book by Upton Sinclair.
South Terrebonne, Almond.
The Jungle.
The Jungle is correct. For 10 points. If you can correctly identify this person, after one clue, you'll receive 30 points. If it takes 2, it'll be 20 points. If it takes 3, it's 10. First clue for 30. He was born in Gorky, Russia, June 11th, 1895, and he joined the Communist Party in 1917. We didn't give you an overload of information, you'll notice. That's for 30.
Stalin.
All right, good guess, but that's not correct. Now, number 2 for 20 points. In 1927, this man was named manager of the most important Soviet electrical equipment factory. 4 years later, he became mayor of Moscow. That's for 20 points.
Khrushchev.
All right, we'll go on now to clue 3 for 10. He was titular head of the Red Army from 1953 to 55 and became premier of the Soviet Union, February 8th, 1955, following the resignation of the then premier, Malenkov.
Brezhnev.
No, this was Bulganin, Nikolai Bulganin, who really has become a forgotten name in Soviet history. We have another face-off. We're going for a lanyard at 20. In a new book by Jeremy Rifkin, the author explains that although there will always, afraid we won't reach the end of that question. The buzzer is sounded. That officially ends the game. We're going to validate our final score, and then we'll be right back to declare a winner. Stay tuned.
See Naples and Die is the often repeated tribute to the panoramic beauty of a city, long celebrated in sentimental songs and honeymooners' snapshots. But a closer look can be discouraging. In the waters of the busy port float debris and pollution of every kind.
See it Sunday evening at 8 on Channel 12.
And here's the final score today. Jesuit 280, South Terrebonne 185. Jesuit High is the winner. They advance to the quarterfinals. Congratulations, Jays. Very impressive performance, and what a comeback. South Terrebonne all-senior team graduates. We really are sorry you won't be back. And incidentally, special citation to Miguel. 3 years he's performed here for South Terrebonne with honors. Good luck, South Terrebonne. We mentioned Jesuit returns for the quarterfinals. They will play a co-classic in May. We'll see you then. Hope to see you sooner.
The questions on Varsity Quiz Bowl are prepared and authenticated by the WIS editorial research staff and known only in advance to the quizmaster, producer, judge, and researcher. All 64 schools participating in our year-long tournament are matched by blind draw. Selections of team members and methods of preparation are the sole responsibility of the schools and their coaches. The preceding program was made possible in part by a grant from Pan American Life Insurance Company.